Morning as we go to the Chitas of today. We're holding on, today is Wednesday. We're holding the fourth reading of the portion of Yiseitse. We're holding on chapter 23, verse number 8. Leisisav Ademi, do not despise the Edomites. Yachicho, because he's your brother. Leisisav Mitzi, do not despise an Egyptian. Iger Hayisi Ba'artze, because you were a stranger in his land. So Rashi says, Leisisav Ademi, completely, only the first two generations, even though it was appropriate for you to despise him, because when he went forth against you with the sword, as is brought down in the book of Bamidbar, but ultimately you shouldn't hate him totally. You shall not despise an Egyptian, absolutely, but only in the first two generations, even though they casted your male infant into the Nile. What is the reason that you may not despise him? Because they hosted you at a time of your dire need. When you Yidden came down to with Yaakov Avinu to Mitzrayim. These nations, children that were born to the third generation, Yavelem Bekal Hashem, they can become part of the Jewish nation. So Rashi says, but other nations are allowed to marry Jews immediately after they convert. So understood. Thus you learn from here that someone who causes a person to sin does worse to him than one who kills him. The Moabites are worse than the Egyptians. The Egyptians killed us, and the Midian tried to make us sin. The one who kills him only in this world. Where one who leads him to sin removes him from both worlds, from this world and the world to come. Therefore, Edom, who came forth against you with the sword, was not completely despised. Similarly, Egypt, who drowned them. This of these who caused them to sin were completely despised. Verse number 10, he says, when your camp goes out against your enemies, you shall beware of everything evil. What does that mean? She says, because the Satan is mekateg b'shas hasakona. The evil inclination is the accused at the time of danger. Thus, extra care must be taken at the time of war when danger prevails. That's one of the reasons why we say Tefillah Saderech, time of danger, and the Satan is mekating in time of danger. Verse number 11. It is amongst you a man who's unclean because of a nocturnal immersion at night. He has to go out of the camp. He's tummy. We'll soon see which camp we're talking about. Is not to come into the camp. So Rashi says, scripture speaking here in terms that which usually occur, omissions usually occur at night. However, the law applies equally if it occurs during the day. A sexual relationship is also considered a concept of a Mishnah. He shall go out of the camp, he becomes impure, he's not to come to the base of Mikdash. This is a positive commandment. This is a negative commandment. Here we have a positive and a negative. It's a positive not to come into the camp, and it's a negative to come into the camp. He's forbidden to come to the camp of the Levite camp. All the more so the camp of the Shekhinah, where the Beis Hamikdash is. So that's why you'll see the next pasuk. What does a man do? And that's why we go to the mikveh. If they said, that's will be the towards the evening, you shall what? Bathe in water. Bathe in water means in the Torah, go to the mikveh. And when it comes nightfall, they can come into the Beis Hamikdash. So Rashi says he should immerse in the mikveh close to the sunset, since he does not become clean until sunset, until without sunset. So he has to go to the mikveh at sunset, before sunset, to be able to go into the mikveh, be able to go into the Beis Hamikdash after. So the mikveh alone cleans, the mikveh alone cleanses a person from a omission. And you shall have the designated place outside the Machta so that you can go there. So now she says you shall have the designated place, so the Targum where Oculus rents it, each man his own place. Outside the cloud, which surrounds the camp. Yeah, we say this to you, you shall keep a stake in addition to your weapons. And when you sit outside, let's talk about a restroom. The laws of modesty. Shall dig with it, and you shall cover your extras. In addition to your weapons, besides the other items of krita, here's your weapons. So this shows the concept of modesty. Those days didn't have restrooms. The Lord your God goes in the midst of your camp to save you. The last they say to put your enemies before you. And therefore your camp should be holy. You shouldn't go, you should not see on your nakedness. And you would turn away from you. So Rashi says that the Eibishter, the Holy One, blessed be, will not see anything unseen. That's tznius. Modesty is not only about other people. Modesty, as you learn in Shulchan Aruch, is even in your private bedroom. Between you and God, a person has to be modest, has to cover himself up. Verse number 16. We are not allowed to deliver a slave to his master. Which is, he seeks refuge from his master. If somebody's running away from a slave, is running away from his master, you should save him. You should save him from the hands of his abusive master. So you shall not deliver a slave. Tagalunta renders a Jewish servant who has been sold to a Gentile. So this is not so clear exactly what kind of slave we're talking about. We're talking a Jewish slave that was sold to a Jew, a Jewish slave that's sold to a non-Jew. So the Tagalunta renders a servant who sold to a Gentile. We talk about a Jewish slave that was sold to a non-Jew. Another explanation, even a Canaanite servant of an Israel who fled from outside the land of Israel. Some interpret it means, and this is all in Gemara Gittin, you can look at the Gemara there. This talking about a Jewish slave or even a non-Jewish slave that ran away from a Jewish slave, even from a Jewish master that was not in the land of Israel. So it's not exactly clear what the pasuk is talking about. Rather, you shall be allowed to reside amongst you. In the place where you live. In everything that's is good for him. You shall not oppress him. You should not be a prostitute. It should not be the concept of a woman having a relationship. That's a prostitute in Torah law. A woman having a relationship out of marriage. Not talking in marriage. That's an affair. A woman having a relationship out of marriage is prostitution. Doesn't have to do with in the civil law. You have to give money. But in Jewish law, having a relationship is a concept of a prostitution. Really, Kodesh law. And Shotu is not to be a male prostitute. Neither man should have a relationship with a woman out of marriage, and there's a woman should have a relationship with a man. Or As the Rashi was saying, means men to men. Leah Kadesha. Kadesha means one who's unbridled, prepared, ready for prostitution. Again, according to Jewish law, you're not put to death if a single woman is having a relation. Only a married woman. But nevertheless, the Torah prohibits such thing. You're having relations before marriage. Leah Kadesh. Kadesh, one of a male ready for homosexual relation. Uncle's ever rendered a woman of the daughters of Israel should not become a wife to a slave. Here, Uncle is, the meaning is totally different. Nevertheless, Uncle explains does not contradict the given above, such as a woman who's susceptible to illicit relation. Since this sort of marriage between a Jewish and a slave is not legally binding. For a slave is compared to a donkey. As it says, stay here with your donkey. That's Avraham Avinu said to his slave. The choice of word im, rather s, denotes comparing to the donkey. Avraham said this to his lad, who left to take to Isaac to offer as a sacrifice. The lad were both slaves. Both Eliezer and Ishmael, the son of the handmaid Hagar. So they were both slaves. So he said, stay here together with the donkey. You have the same law with the donkey. And no Israelite man shall take a maidservant as a wife, since he too becomes Kadesh, one who is reserved for illicit relation. Although through her, because every time he cohabits with her is considered as a prostitution, since his marriage is not binding. Verse number 19, should not bring prostitute fee or price of a dog. The house of your Lord. This is also a very interesting verse. For any kind of a vow, Hashem comes because the Eibushter hates them both. So Rashi says, what we're talking about over here. For example, if he gave her lamb as a fee, if he paid the prostitute a lamb, she can't bring it as the Beis Hamikdash. She cannot bring the sacrifice to the Beis Hamikdash. Mechir Kelev, if one changed a lamb for a dog, I'll give you my dog. You give me the lamb. Now I cannot bring the lamb as a carbon to the Beis Hamikdash. Gam Shneim, one means also both of them. The extra gam comes to include a prostitute fees for or a price of a dog which has been converted to another form. For example, wheat, which he made into flour. So anything, gam shneim, anything that you're going to do in exchange for these kind of prohibitions, everything becomes, so to say, tainted and should not be brought as a carbon. Verse 20. You're not allowed to take interest from your brother, from another Jew. Neshech keser, whether it's interest on money. Neshech eichel, whether it's interest on food. Neshech kol davar, or any interest at all. Asher yashech, which item, which interest is normally taken. The Rashi says this is an abomination. This is a warning to the borrower that he should not pay interest to the lender. In essence, interest, if paid, there are two people that sinned: the borrower and the lender. The lender that charged interest, the borrower that gave interest. Afterwards, the next one is a warning to the lender. You shall not give him your money in interest. In some addition, the word afterwards is omitted because the verse does not appear after this one, but in Leviticus, not right now. So therefore, the Torah prohibits the giver, the lender, and the borrower from being involved in any interest. The guy cannot say, you know what? The guy lent me money. He wants interest. What should I do? I'm going to pay him interest. If a lender gives interest, he doesn't have Veda. He does a sin. Like and the borrower gives interest, he does a sin. He should give interest to a non-Jew because non-Jews don't have this law of interest. You're not allowed to give interest. He's not allowed to give interest to you. You're not allowed to take interest. But a guy is allowed to take interest in you. A non-Jew can take interest in you. You can take interest in him. The man Yivrech Hashem Lekecha, But God will bless you b'chol mishlach yedecha in all your endeavors. Al haaretz asher ata bo shama, to the land that you're coming there l'rishta to inherit. Now she says, but not to your brother. A negative commandment that is derived by inference of a positive commandment. This is alav haba miklal aseh. It's an interesting expression, the Gemara. Alav haba miklal aseh, la nachli tashin, aseh. You should take interest from from a goy. So so this is a negative commandment which derived by inference of a positive commandment, such as considered as a positive commandment. Thus, this passions. We have the positive commandment born out of the inference to a Gentile, meaning, but not your brother, plus two negative commandments. You shall not give interest to your brother, but to your brother you shall not give interest. There you see how the Torah gives three negative commandments and one positive commandment to not taking interest for another Yid. Hence, one who borrows from a Jew with interest transgresses two negative commandments and one positive commandment. Verse 22. See the Nedel Hashem Lekecha, if you make a vow to God. The Sachal Shalma, you should not delay paying your promise. Because God will demand it from you. You made a promise to the Beis Hamikdash. And it'll be for you a sin. So what means delaying? You shouldn't pass 3 holidays that the payment that the 3 major holidays, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, should not pass, and the loan is not paid. And the Gemara, Rashi says, we learn this in the Gemara, Rosh Hashanah, the rabbis learn. Verse 23, but if you shall refrain from making vows, you will have no sin. That's why we try to stick away from making vows. We not try to stick away, we don't make vows. We say, B'li neder. But nevertheless, when a person says, B'li neder, observe and do what you emit from your lips. You should do what you made a vow. Hashem Lakecha. The dove Hashem dibaita beficha. You made a donation. You said you're going to give a donation, which you have spoken with your mouth. Rashi says this adds a positive. Again, you learn this Rashi many times. This adds a positive to the negative. There's a positive to the negative. The negative is you should not forget what you're not break what you made a vow, and when you accomplish the vow, you did a positive. So by doing what you did, by you make a pledge and you fulfill your pledge, now you did a positive mitzvah by fulfilling your pledge. That completes the Chumash of the day. Now go to the Tanya of the day. Tanya is starting on the 13th letter of the Alter Rebbe. That is in the book of Tanya. It was put in the book of Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe starts as follows. The verse, it says a verse in Tehillim, Psalms. It says, Marav tufcha asher tzvanta l'riyach. Etc. How abundant is your goodness, which you have hidden away, asher tzvanta. You have hidden away from those who fear you. And the pasuk continues, which you have wrought from those who trust in you before men. So that's the whole word, the whole pasuk. Now, the first part of the pasuk, in general, when the Alter Rebbe puts v'goymer, you should look at the pasuk, and that's why he brings down the extension of the pasuk. Now, the first part of the verse states the reward of it is hidden away, asher tzafanta, while in the conclusion of the verse implies that it's revealed to the sight of man, which you wrought for those which you were shown to those who trust in you. So the question is self-understood. How do you put the first beginning of the verse with the end of the verse? Alter Rebbe will explain that corresponding to these two forms of reward, a Jewish spiritual service, the Jewish spiritual service leads to the reward. Likewise, assume two forms. They're both a concealed and a revealed form of divine service. So there's a concept of something that is revealed. In the beginning of the verse is talking something that is hidden. The hidden goodness. And then you have the revealed goodness. So amongst those who serve God, there are two levels of madregas chalukis. There are two distinct kind of levels in those that serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Such that and it's rooted in the soul above in the categories of chesed, yamin, usma. Depends where your neshama, the sword, the root of your soul. Where is the root of your soul? Somebody that's more a yamini, more a soul that's connected to the right side, or somebody that's a soul that's more connected to the left side. So somebody who's a soul that's connected to the right, to the left, and Bechina smile is somebody's more a lefty. I don't want to translate the lefty the way we translate today. If there was somebody who's more smile, he's more to the left. So he has more, his soul is more connected to Gevura. His soul is more connected to Gevura. So left characterizes by contraction and concealment in one's divine service. So he's called a Hatzna Leches, as the Pasuk says. Thus, with regard to this manner of service, is written to walk covertly, with your Lord your God. Be discreet, somebody who's very discreet. Tivka. Another verse says that he's seeking places weeps my soul. Or we have another expression. Whoever engages in the study Torah in secret. So he's a very secret expression, way he serves God. The three above the mentioned quotes refer to the three general modes of divine service in regard to mitzvahs. So in regard to mitzvahs, they walk covertly. You don't know. With regard to prayer, my soul weeps. You can't even see that there. So it's Torah avoiding middle Chesadim. And with regard to Torah, engages in study of Torah in the secret. All the above approaches to divine service results from one of the traits that characterizes Gevura, concealment. The Rebbe now goes on to speak of the other dominant traits that characterize the attribute of Gevura, contraction. This attribute, the attribute of contraction, Gevura, derives all elements of contraction. Limits the service of God in all aspects. Example, a person that's very calculated, having one distributed charity according to one's means. That's a guy very calculated. He knows exactly how much money he makes and how much money he needs to give. He doesn't give more than he's supposed to give. He has this calculated life. And he follows the law. We're not saying somebody's going against the law. Setting one limits the spirit of the teaching. He who gives lavish should not expend more than 1/5. That's it. Finished. He does his duty. He's a very person that is concise, does what he's supposed to do. So too in regarding his learning Torah. He does what he is. He's satisfied with doing what he's supposed to do. And before does exactly what the Torah is started his duties, like the Torah says him to do. Like vayitim, such as set at certain times for study Torah. Thus, the soul's root in the supernal left in the attribute of Gevura will lead one to act in a manner consistent with the characteristics of limitation. That's it. He's very limited. He does exactly what he's supposed to do, so that he will give only as much tzedakah, study only as much Torah, and perform the mitzvahs only to the degree that he is obligated. From it derives also the teaching on a stage of lesson memory. What about to cast awe upon the pupils? You have teachers that way too. That's the way they teach. They are gevura, stringent, and they're not doing anything wrong. That's the way they teach. They teach in the aspect of fear. That's the concept of gevura. But you go to characterize the right side. That's the attribute of chesed. Pashtus, and expansiveness. Avodas Hashem, the service of God. Israchus, with a broadness. Really tzimtzum, no contraction. The hester cloud, no concealment. As the verse says, I will walk berachava. I will walk in expansiveness. I am not going to be exact in the service of God. I'm going to be more than I'm obligated to do. The God leads him to go cloud without any contraction limitation whatsoever. Meaning, with such an individual, not only the approach to divine service, but also the execution is characterized in a broad sweep, an expression of bigness. The aim, and there's no restraint to the spirit of his generosity. Whether it's in his charity, maybe Talmud Torah, whether it's learning Torah, he doesn't have a limitation. He learns whatever he can. And so to in all aspects of commandments, he does it. He's not looking at the clock. He's not looking at the time. And this such a person, he is not looking to do an obligation. By him, it's not an obligation. It's not trying to accomplish my obligation. Oh, I have to do X, Y, Z, therefore I'm doing it. I'm going to accomplish my obligation. It's not an obligation to him. He says, it's never enough. I'm doing a mitzvah. It's never enough. There's never enough learning Torah. There's never enough charity. There's never enough any mitzvah I do. It's never enough. Why? Because I have archavas hadas. I am a big person. I have a big mind. I have a big heart. There's nothing that means I'm accomplished my duty. These then are the two types of divine service that result from the soul being rooted either in the right, chesed, or on the left, gevura. Now the question is, what am I? In a call Ish Yisrael, therefore down to the Rebbe says, every single Jew, you need to be both. You need to comprise of both traits. A Jew who sold the right from chesed will also incorporate thrust of gevura. And a Jew, even though he derives from gevura, needs to have chesed. We need to have both. Why? Because ein lacha dava, as the Mishnah says, there's nothing she'ein lo mekaymer that doesn't have its place. So there are things that need to be done because it's an obligation. And there are things that need to be done above your obligation. Need to have both. And therefore we find, most of us give the analogy that Hillel was chesed, and therefore he was lenient in everything. And Shammai was gevura, and therefore he was stringent in everything. But that's not true. If you know the Gemara, you'll find things that Hillel was machmer, and Shammai was meko. You'll find things, and majority we find Shammai's machmer, and Hillel's meko. But we do find that Hillel was machmer. We do find it. If you learn the Gemara, you'll find things. Therefore, we do find, even though in general we say Hillel was more lenient and Shammai was more meek, well, that's not true. We find things that Hillel was machmir, because Hillel also had gevura. He was not just everything. Let's do everything the easy way. No, he tried to do things in a selfless and he was more chesed, his soul was more rooted, but he made sure to do the right thing. Sometimes you need to be machmir, and sometimes you need to be stringent. So what did we learn from this? When you learned the Gemara, that even though Shammai, who's rooted in the left side of the heavenly soul, of the heavenly midas above, which is Gevura, therefore, that's why it makes sense that in general they were more stringent in law. In all the laws of Torah, they were more stringent because the root of their soul was to the left, was to the Gevura. For stringency stands for Gevura, is so much that as they prevent any object from being used and thereby elevated. But where Besila was from the supernal right of life, of the supernal attributes in heaven, which is chesed. They would always try to find a leniency or to render permissible the things that are prohibited by Beishamai. Because they should become released. Why they wanted to do that? Because they wanted to release everything. They wanted to say that everything can be elevated. Beishamai said, cannot be elevated. It's usher, it's prohibited. Beisila said, no, maybe we can find a way how to permit it. How to be able to elevate this thing, because that's chesed. Chesed always wants to bring things to it. Chesed always wants to give things, to entities that don't have, that are seemingly not elevatable. And Chesed says, I will find a way to elevate it. That's why Beishamai wanted to bring elevation to everything in the world. What Beishamai said, it's unelevatable. So the word asa means to be bound by the Sitra Achra. Therefore, the Beishamai said it's prohibited. It's bounded by evil, and hence prohibited. The opposite mutar means to be released, and hence permitted. Declaring an object permissible, thus unfetters it from the bonds of Sitra Achra, thereby allowing it to send. So that's the whole machlekes the Alter Rebbe explained on Ki Kabbalah. What's the machlekes? What's the argument of Beishamai Sila? Can we elevate something or can we not? So Beishamai always wanted to say you can't elevate it. It's unelevatable. It's unavailable to be elevated. Beishamai said, let's find a way that it can. Afa became, but nevertheless, Beishamai Makila, we find things that Beishamai was lenient in. Why? Because even though Beishamai had Gevura, just follow Shesh Rosh, because Beishamai had Chesed. Beishamai, even though he had Gevura, he still had Chesed. He still had the concept of kindness. So the famous statement Beishamai says in Pirkei Avos, you should receive everybody with a beautiful face. You should greet everybody with a happy face. That doesn't sound like Gevura so much. That sounds like Chesed. Because Beishamai was Chesed. Because he had Chesed in his neshama. He just calls it because even though his root wasn't Gevura, he still had Chesed. So too Beisila had Gevura. It's known from the mode of the attributes and the manner of the supernal holiness. The last Taman Kitzutz Peter Chasishom. There's no cleavage or division there, heaven forbid. No concept of a hate and separation in the heavenly middays. They're all colors of mizeh. They all ultimately mingle one with the other. Rather, all traits that derive from the supernal holiness incorporate each other. Chesed incorporates aspects of Gevura, and Gevura of Chesed, and so on. So therefore, it doesn't make a difference what the source of my soul is. If I'm more Gevura, then I have to learn how to bring chesed into my existence. If I'm more chesed, I have to learn how to bring gevura into my existence. Because that's the way it's above. I'm an extension. Why am I more chesed in this world? Because I'm an extension of above. It's not because I am chesed. Not something that it's something that was given from above. So if it's something that was given from above, then that's why I'm that. So if it comes from above, so above it's united with the other. So if it's above united with the other, if there's a bonding above, I used to Shalom and Raya mentioned before, if there's a bonding of the midas, the attributes above, that chesed incorporates himself gevura, and gevura incorporates himself chesed. Kindness incorporates itself severity, and severity incorporates itself kindness. So then do it here below. And therefore, in a union with each other, as known to those who study Kabbalah, the scholars of the hidden wisdom. So although Chesed and Gevurah are opposite, we mentioned this in the past letter, nevertheless, since they're compound of each other, they're able to work together because they understand they need each other. Chesed needs Gevurah, and Gevurah needs Chesed. Could have seen by Avraham Avinu, and that's where we find Avraham Avinu. Very interesting expression of Torah. Avraham Avinu is Midas HaChesed. Avraham Avinu is the attribute of kindness. And what does it say by him? Shu Midas HaChesed Ava Ati Adaiti. After the story of Avraham Avinu took his son to bring him a sacrifice. That's a contradiction to Midas HaChesed. That's the biggest contradiction to Midas HaChesed, to the attribute of kindness, to take your own son and bring him as a sacrifice. That's why it was the greatest challenge to Avraham Avinu. That's why it's called the challenge of Avraham Avinu. It's his challenge. It's Yitzchak's self-sacrifice, but it's Avraham Avinu's challenge. Because Avraham Avinu, Abraham, who's the attribute of kindness, is asked to bring his son as a sacrifice. And he does it. He goes to do it. And the Eibishter says, now I see. Now I see not only you have chesed, not that you only the kindness in the world. You know, the Medrash says, when Avraham Avinu came to the world, Midas HaChesed came to God and said, I'm out of a job. I'm the attribute of chesed, and Avraham Avinu is doing chesed. Avraham Avinu is doing more chesed than the attribute of chesed. So Avraham Avinu has taken away my job, so to say. But because the Avraham Avinu symbolizes true chesed, unlimited, no strings attached chesed. But nevertheless, chesed is asked to go bring a sacrifice to his son, and chesed doesn't. And the Eibush says, now I see not only you have chesed, but you have gevura. I see you have yiras Hashem. You have the fear of heaven. So even though I asked you to do something that's totally opposite of who you are, but it shows that you have yira too. Not only that you have chesed, you have yira. So ati yadaiti, now I know ki yira lekimata, that you are a God-fearing man. Adish, let's love us midas aguda. That Avraham Avinu, who is the attribute of chesed, clothes himself with the midas agavura, with the attribute of severity and strength. He takes his son, he binds him. He binds his son. Not only does he bind his son, he's ready, he takes the knife. That's where you see that Avraham Avinu, who is chesed, is also has gevura, has yiras Hashem. Thus Avraham, who is the very embodiment of chesed, was able to respond as an occasion demanded with an even expression of severity. The very optimum of the attribute gevura, to kill Asher Shalom, to shacht his son. So therefore we see, after Rebbe says, that we need to do this. Doesn't make a difference what level soul you come from. You need to, if you're gevura and everything is concise to you, there needs to be time to time a moment of chesed. Chesed, do more than you're supposed to do. Masha Amakos Avram Yavi. Even though the pasuk says Avram, when the pasuk wants to express itself, the difference between Avram and Yitzchak, it said Avram Yavi, Avram who loved me, upachad Yitzchak, and it says the bread of Yitzchak. So even though the Torah says Avram was a lover, Avram Yavi was a lover. It was chesed. Thereby indicating Avram's service was an expression of chesed. Avram Yavi, and Isaac's service was pachad, was fear. Gevura, which would seem to contradict earlier statement of Avram, who revealed the attribute of Gevura. Hefish has the difference and the distinction. Who bechinas gilui vehel exists only in a scale of manifestation and concealment. What does that mean? Shemidas Yitzchak pachad, the divine attribute of Yitzchak, which is fear. Who bechinas gilui. In his self, it's revealed. Yitzchak was a man of Gevura. Yisrael was a stern-looking guy, serious-looking guy. No, he was no jokes about him. And he was a serious guy. In a revealed way, this was Yitzchak. Serious guy. But his Ava was Mercedes. His Ava was hidden. His hell of vast. The opposite of Avram. Avram Avinu was this open guy. Anybody can come and talk to him. This beautiful, happy guy. Open house. Everybody come and use him and do whatever take advantage of him because he's the giver. He's the giver. The Eipach Miz Avram Avinu Alav Shalom. So in a revealed way, Avram was chesed. And the opposite of his father, chesed, manifested in Gevura. Therefore, we see they lived a life differently. Avraham traveled. He traveled. He was busy reaching out to everybody. He didn't wait for somebody to come to him. He traveled out to another person. Yitzchak Avinu never left anywhere. Stayed in his place. You wanted to come to him. You wanted to meet Yitzchak. You had to come to him. He was not this traveler. He was not even allowed to travel out of Eretz Yisrael. So he was in one place. And he was there, and he was Gevura because Yitzchak Avinu was Gevura, and it's manifests itself in many things in the Torah. And this is the meaning of what King David said. Peace be unto him. Marav Tucha was also the attribute of Gevura. He was a king. How abundant is your goodness. Marav Tucha. This is the beginning of the verse. Marav tuvcha shetzapanta lereyacha. How the abundance of goodness which is hidden to those who fear you. And that's how you learn the pasuk. Going back to the beginning of the pasuk. Marav tuvcha. How abundant is your goodness, which you have hidden away for those who fear you. Kalema. Shemidas Hateva Chesed. That is to say that an attribute of goodness and chesed, Asher Bechinas Helen Be'Esther, which is hidden. To a person who is his rooted soul is connected to the Gevura. He was talking about himself because he was a melech, a warrior, a king. Midas HaGevura, the attribute of kingship, the attribute of Gevura severity. They said, no. Don't be lost. Don't judge a book by its cover. Marav Tuvcha. How great is your goodness, Asher Tzafanta, which is hidden by those that fear you. Anikir Sheinirecha, which is called those who fear you. How great chesed is in those that have also Gevura. Kemidas Beisham, like the attribute of Beishami that was Gevura, but he had great chesed. Hidden in it. The Avshu Teva Gonamatzofen, though this is concealed and hidden, goodness beneath the dominant surface of Gevura. Afal Pekenu Rav Godomite, Therefore, nevertheless, it's truly an abundant and immense as the attribute of Gedula and Chesed, which is from the right. So David HaMelech said, even though I'm Gevura, I have unbelievable Chesed. It might be hidden within me, but it's there, it's great, and it's powerful. Because I know how to mix together Gevura and Chesed. The beauty of this is we know the story behind it, that that he danced and his wife told him, "You're not acting like a king," and he answered, "Sure, I'm acting like a king," and because even though I'm Gevura, I have Chesed, I have Ava to the Eibishter. I'm acting like this to God. I'm enjoying and the happiness in front of God, and that's why he was the greatest king. Because the Gemara says he was the greatest king because people loved him. Even though he was a king, and they only should have feared him, but they feared him and they loved him. Because he had great love. Both degree of chesed, which is dominant in the soul deriving from the right, as well as in corporate soul deriving from the are manifest without limit, measure, and dimension. So David HaMelech said the greatness is to have Gevura and to still have Chesed. Even though my Chesed is so to say underneath my Gevura, but it's still Gadol. It's still strong and powerful. It doesn't limit when I need to do Chesed. It doesn't limit my Chesed. This is the meaning how abundant is your goodness. That applies without any limit and measure. My chesed is unlimited, even though I am dominant with Gevura, but my chesed is unlimited, and that's a great accomplishment. Whether it's the goodness which you have hidden away for those who fear you, or as the verse continues, which you have wrought for those who trust. This refers to those that have trust in God. Why do you have chesed? And you're ready to give everything you have. A guy chesed, he gives. Why does a person have this midah of chesed? Because he trusts the Eibishter is about chesed. I have chesed because I have nothing to worry about. I'm not losing anything. Most of us are afraid of giving because we have a budget, right? We're afraid. This is the budget. We're going to give above our budget. We're not going to have anything for the budget in the future. A person that's been talking to the Eibishter, and the Eibishter, the God is the one who gives him what he needs. So the Eibishter doesn't have any more ways of giving him this chesed. Sure he does. But you have to have bitachon. You have to have trust when it comes to that kind of concept of chesed. You have to have trust in God. So a Baal Chesed has a bitachon. So that's why David HaMelech says the Baal Chesed, the true Baal Chesed, the one who comes from the right. See, I'm a Baal Gevura. By me, David HaMelech said I'm more of a person that wants to limit myself. And I want to live. I'm a king. I want to know where my strengths are, where my power is. I want to know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I want to know, what's going to be. But I have chesed nevertheless, and therefore I give abundantly. But a Baal chesed to begin with, a person who comes from the right, he has bitachon in the Eibishter. He has bitachon in God. He's open-minded to begin with. So that's the greatness of being rooted in the right side of things, into the concept of chesed side of things. So a person who trusts trusts his beloved friend to act in his best interest, the same way whose soul stems from the right, who serves God with chesed and love, places their trust in Him and God. And those kindness and goodness. And Gam Bechinas Gilu Espashas Neged Ben Adam is also the state of manifest and expansion before the sight of man. And not only does God see it, but the world sees it, that he's a kind person. He goes beyond his limitations of kindness. He's not constricted by his kindness, in his kindness. You now understand where the verse begins. Hidden for those who fear you, and concludes with manifest in the state before man. The verse is alluding to the two forms of chesed. In its concealed state, it possesses those who fear you. In its revealed state, as possessed by those who trust in you. So that's the difference. The Baal Gevura has to overcome his Gevura. The Baal Chesed trusts in the Eibishter to begin with. And therefore, he has an abundance. He has an abundance. He trusts in God. He has no fear. He has nothing, no limitations, because he puts trust in the Eibishter. And that's why his Chesed is unbounded, because he has trusted in God and he shows to humanity his trust in God. The reason it says for those who fear you, which seems to imply that chesed from above is granted them as a reward, rather than those who fear you, is what whatever is in a state of concealment within any soul, it's not vested within the body, in the individual's mind and heart, for they're incapable of receiving it, because their soul is gevura. Their vessel is gevura. So if their vessel is gevura, that's why it's lidayacha. It's given to them above. Lidayacha means in those who fear. Lidayacha to those who fear. It's given as the Abishah just says, I'm giving you chesed, but it's not really something that you can come. You're more gevura, and it's very hard to the vessel to contain chesed when you're gevura. So it's something that encompasses the person. The Abishah gives him chesed, and he has chesed, but it's more of an encompassing light. It's not a light that comes within it's not a malam, it's not a light that can come in a vessel, because the vessel cannot handle this light. It's a light that's an encompassing light. And it shines, it comes to him at certain times when it requires an arousal of the attribute in question. So it should arouse and illuminate his mind and his heart, but my suppel that he should do the chesed. So David Melech says, as we learn the chassidus, that the soul is also hidden in a way. There's ava misuteres. We have all the ava to the Eibishter, to God. We all have a love to God, but it's ava misuteres, a hidden love. Meaning, it's not in our vessel. It can. It's the vessel of my existence cannot handle this love. So it's misuteres. It's hidden. What means it's hidden? It's not hidden that it's not there. It is there. It's hidden because it cannot be revealed. But it is sometimes revealed. There are some times when I reveal this love. There are some times when this chesed, when the chesed is needed. In essence, David HaMelech said the same thing. I am gevura. But the Eibishter gave me an abundance of chesed. It's hidden within me, but I reveal it. I reveal this chesed. Amar al-Kain. King David therefore says that where there's abundance of goodness, Rav Tev lebeis Yisrael, where there's an abundance of goodness of the house of Israel, Hatzofim v'Hagala, whether it is hidden, v'Hagala, and that which is manifest. The pasuk says two chesed. There's a chesed that's hidden. There's a chesed that is revealed. Ubechinas belig. Well, nevertheless, whether it's hidden, whether it's revealed, it's belig gvul. It's unlimited. There are certain chesed that are shown to be unlimited, and there are certain chesed that are hidden that are unlimited. According to the measure, to the soul that is in that person's body. So therefore, realize, if you're a person that is open chesed, that's the soul, your Hillel, your Shadish, the source of your soul is like Hillel, that is open kindness, That's your Hillel. Ultimately, you're gonna have Avraham Avinu. Ultimately, you're gonna have to show from time to time Gevura like Avraham Avinu, severity. If you're a guy like me, David Amelech said, who I'm Gevura, trust me, I have Chesed. I have an abundance of Chesed, like you have an like the person who's revealed. I have still the abundance of Chesed, which is revealed. Which when I want to reveal it, I reveal that abundance of Chesed. That means both the person who comes from the Chesed or from Gevura, wherever his soul comes from, they both have an abundance of Chesed. They both have an abundance of kindness. And therefore, you too, O God, relate to them with the attribute, the midas chasta chagodol. That's as David HaMelech is talking to God and saying to God, just like I am a Gevura, but I have an abundance of Chesed, because I have Chesed and I show my abundance of Chesed, so too, the Eibush should also do the same. He's midas Gevura, he's midas Din, show an abundance of Chesed. Show an abundance of kindness. Even I, that is Gevura, that is very budgeted and very calculated, but I show an abundance of Chesed. So too, I ask of God to show an abundance of Chesed. And I'm asking you not to show das Chesed. I'm asking you to show a nikadav Chesed. I'm asking you to show great Chesed, abundance of Chesed. The Chesed of Arach Anpin, utterly transcending the lesser Chesed, Kabbalistic things. The Chesed of Arach Anpin, which is Keser, which is the higher level of Keser, which utterly transcends the lesser Chesed of Zeir Anpin, which is the lower level of Keser, from which the world's evolved by the means of Seder Shtalshus. Everything comes from the Ratzon of the Eibishter. And in the Keser, which is Keser, the crown that crowns the wisdom. So Keser, you have Arich, this is Kabbalistic words. Keser has long faces in the Zohar and in the Arizal. Keser has long faces and short faces. The upper level of Keser is self-assured, much greater Chesed. The lower level of Keser is smaller faces, so to say. That's how the Arizal expresses it. Smaller, more contracted, but irrelevant. The David HaMelech says, I want Rav Chesed. I want to have that the Eibishter God should give us Chesed from the higher level of his Ratzon, of his will. The Is Chesed, because there is kindness and there's kindness. Is Chesed Olam. There is the Chesed of the world, meaning a world-like Chesed, a limited amount of Chesed. Which the opposite counterpart is the aspect of justice. Heaven forbid, that's a limited Chesed. I'm going to give Chesed, but it's going to be Chesed with limitations. To diminish and to contract God's goodness. That's when you mix in Chesed Olam. I'm going to do my Chesed with limitation. I'm a Chesed Elya Nikadav Chesed. But then there's another level of Chesed. And that's the Chesed, that's the above Chesed. That's the Chesed of Arach Anpin. The higher level of Keser, so to say, of Keter, which is called Rav Chesed, an abundance of kindness, unlimited kindness. Ain't kenegdei midas adin. In this level of kindness, there's no din, there's no gevura. Lemayet l'tzamtzem reiv chesed, to contract and to limit God's kindness. With a spashibli gevuvta, to be able to spread without any limits. Because it derives from the divine level of Seva Kalam, the transcending, the encompassing light of all the worlds and limitation. From this level, divine is called Timida de Kol Timida. It's called, which is hidden from all hidden. Hidden of all hidden, because even the lower level of Keser is hidden. It's not Chochmah yet, even it's hidden. It's in the will of God, but it's hidden of all hidden. So this in what's hidden is hidden. So there's hidden what's hidden. The lower level of chesed is still hidden. It's the kindness of God, but it's not the ultimate level of kindness, which is unlimited. And it's real save of kalam. The truth is that David HaMelech says the same thing. That I have chesed, the hidden chesed, that doesn't come with him, and I reveal. So the truth is, when I reveal my chesed is much greater than the guy who has chesed. My chesed comes from a much deeper chesed, Safa, which is hidden. Hanikra kesed, which is called kesed, the supernal crown, the only transcendent level divinity known as kesed. That's why in the 10 spheres, important, the 10 sfirot, the Arizal puts kesed as the 10 sfirot. The Alter Rebbe separates it. The Alter Rebbe puts keter above the 10 sfirot. So that's why the Alter Rebbe, his 10 sfirot are Chochmah Bina Das. Because Keser, he puts Keser as above and beyond all the Keser Elyon. Its name Besukah. This is what's meaning with the verse which follows our opening quotation and which continues to speak of those who fear you and those who trust in you. Hide them in the concealment of your innermost dimension. I explained above, the word panim denotes both continents and innerwards. That's the panim is your face, which means a revealed, something revealed. But panim also means inner, pneumius. So panim has two meanings to it. Something that's revealed and something that's hidden. So conceal them in a sukkah, meaning in the sublime level of chesed, which deriving from the above-mentioned level of chesed, transcending the Seder Shtalshlus, transcending the Chochmah Bina Das, and transcending those levels, which will encompass them like a sukkah. A kesed l'yem chagenu. Sukkah is an encompassing light. That's the greatness. This is a whole different subject. But sukkah is the concept of an encompassing light. It's a light that takes in everybody. It's a makif. Sukkah is a mitzvah that's makif, that surrounds the person totally, surrounds many people totally. So the supplement by the Rebbe, here the Rebbe added something, explanation to this letter. The beauty of this, that's the beauty of learning it in this way, because we have many times the Rebbe's own notes on this teaching. The thrust of the above letter, the Rebbe writes, which was delivered by an emissary who was to collect contributions for charity. Again, this is a charitable letter. The Alter Rebbe was trying to collect money for Israel, is that even those who serve God by the means of their soul rooted in the left, they are more budgeted, as I said. Even if, like Beit Shammai, they are totally righteous individuals who need not give tzedakah for the sake of atonement, for we're not complete, as explained in letter number 10. The Alter Rebbe would say, even though you're a tzaddik and you don't really need to give tzedakah, right? Because you're a guy who is very calculated. You do everything you're supposed to do. So you never did a sin, because you do everything you're supposed to do. As we learned, after evidence explained, we talk about a person. If you're gevura, then you are a person that follows the rules. What you're supposed to do. Nevertheless, they too possess an abundant and immense degree of chesed. At those times which require it, moreover, it results in actual deeds. So Alter Rebbe was turning to these Jews and said, listen, I know the holy Jews, and I know you never sinned. Therefore, I know that you give tzedakah what you're supposed to do. But nevertheless, you should realize you have an abundance of kindness. You have the capability to give more than you're supposed to give. This, because you have an af chesed, because you have Rav Chesed, and you want that the world should have Rav Chesed. The Eibush should reveal to the world Rav Chesed, abundance of Chesed. So you have it within you. So you should do it. This is explicit in the concluding passage of the letter, which was not printed by the rabbis, or long may they live, sons of the illustrious authors of blessed memory, whose souls are Gan Eden, which reads as follows. After these words, nafshi, this is a very powerful expression of the Alter Rebbe. After the above the words, nafshi b'shelasi, from the depth of my soul, I seek. I'm trying to awaken up the abundance of benevolence that is concealed within the hearts of every individual chassid and brother. I'm trying with this letter to waken up your Rav Tuvcha, to awaken up your Midas HaChesed that is hidden. Love the mice to come into action. So that you will fill your hands unto God by giving charity with full and open hand. Through a trusted bearer of this message. This is a letter that was given to somebody, as we said, to collect money. So through the trusted barrier of this message that is written above in the letter, in the letter, should suffice. This should suffice enough. I am not spelling it out, for it's not necessary. The above is suffice. These are words for one who loves you with his soul. I seek your welfare. Milei v'nefesh, with heartful and soulful fates a yearning. Watch, longing. And the Alter Rebbe signs the letter. Shnei Zalman, which is his name. Ben Ladini, the son of my master. Meiri, my father, my teacher. Rabbi, Harav Baruch. And the Rebbe adds the above passage, which makes it clear the foregoing teaching was intended to find particular expression in the giving of tzedakah, enables us to understand the relevance here of the first part of the letter, which other would seemingly have begun, V'hinei kol Yisrael. Now every Jew needs to comprise. The Alter Rebbe here was talking to God-fearing people. He was talking to his brethren. And therefore, it was a very, very private letter that the Alter Rebbe wrote. And that's why thus we read before, maybe his children took him out of this part of the letter. That should be more a general letter, but really this letter was written to that this messenger was going to particular people, was probably with this letter, so that they God-fearing people, holy people that the Alter Rebbe was talking to, people that had seemingly didn't have to worry about giving more tzedakah because they were not never sinned and they were holy individuals. And nevertheless, because the Alter Rebbe said in the previous letter that we should be concise in our tzedakah if we are all healthy and well spiritually. But since we're not healthy and well spiritually, so therefore the being concise in the amount of tzedakah doesn't really talk to us. And now the Alter Rebbe was talking to people that were concise in the way they lived their life, and they were very holy Jews, and nevertheless, he demanded on them that they really should maybe only follow the law and give tzedakah 1/5, but they should nevertheless give tzedakah more, and they should open their hearts to give more than they're capable of giving, and they should give it with a Rav Chesed and abundance, and reveal that true Chesed, which is in it's a beautiful letter, self-understood, because we all can learn from that letter many things in our own life to the way our souls are connected, but ultimately to realize that we all have Chesed and Gevura, and we have to know how to bring them together. And even if we're very limited and budgeted in our lives, we have a Rav Chesed. And the truth is, if we're trying to awaken up from above an abundance of kindness, which that's a David HaMelech, I take out this letter to me, that if we're trying to awaken above an abundance of kindness, we need to do that below. We need to awaken up below an abundance of kindness. So David HaMelech, in essence, asked God that he should have an abundance of kindness, because even though David HaMelech, who was more Gevura, revealed his abundance of kindness, even though he was more Gevura, severity, he had this abundance of kindness, and he revealed this abundance of kindness. So to God should reveal his abundance of kindness. This could not be a better time to learn this letter than now, as we come before Rosh Hashanah, to rectify and to show an abundance of kindness in all aspects of life, as the Rebbe says, learning and davening and charity, whatever in life, we should show an abundance. We should have a chava. As I say many times, the Rebbe would say before Elul and Rosh Hashanah, we should think big. Stop being so limited in everything that you do. Have a chavas adas. Think big. Think bigger than what you think or you think right now. Think bigger in everything that you're going to do. Think bigger in mitzvahs that you're going to do. Think bigger in kindness. Think bigger in charity. And the response of God is to be bigger. So the Eibishter God responds to our asarus l'tata. The God responds to our wishes and our desires. If our desires and our wishes are bigger, then God's desires and wishes are bigger. And that completes the chitas of today. Today is the 11th day of the month, and to do the Tillim of the day, the Psalms of the day is chapter 60 to chapter 65. Chapter 60 to chapter 65, you do the chitas of the day. There's also the 3 chapters of the day, 31, 32, and 33. So I wish you all a great, beautiful day, very great lesson of Tanya, and Amir Shem. Amir Shem will see you, Amir Shem tomorrow, 8 o'clock, we'll continue the chitas.